Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Sanjay, and today we'll be diving into how public intelligence gathering intersects with network security. So, this refers to the practice essentially that we collect data from publicly available sources to gain actionable insights. In cybersecurity, it's critical tool for identifying external threats and uncovering vulnerabilities. But here is the challenge: while tapping into this data helps us stay ahead of adversaries, we also need to be cautious about the information we unintentionally expose as well. So today we'll explore how to strike the right balance using external data sources and protecting the internal information within a network. So what is OSINT? So OSINT essentially stands for Open Intelligence. So this refers in to the process of gathering information, right? So there is a lot of publicly available information. For example, like you can go up to someone's LinkedIn, Facebook, and you at least know somebody's name and their, possibly their email addresses and all those kind of things, right? So social media forums or even metadata which are embedded sometimes in a document, they can give you vital information about a person or other things as well, right? So while this data is openly accessible, it is combined thoughtfully and it can reveal hidden threats or even vulnerabilities. So in cybersecurity, this kind of external data collection plays a pretty crucial role. It helps organizations detect threats such as exposed servers, phishing attempts, or leaked credentials floating around in less obvious corners of the internet. These insights allow security teams to be proactive rather than reactive. But here's the catch: while gathering such extensive external information, it also strengthens our defenses as well. So organizations could be well prepared for any sort of like events which could potentially happen, or even strengthen their defenses, which are oftenly unknowingly can expose their own sensitive data in the process. So today we are going to explore how to find the right balance between leveraging publicly available data and protecting our internal assets. So, so what is the strategic importance of OSINT in network security? So we have to leverage the available intelligence. Isn't just about gathering information. It's about using strategies to secure the network too. So think of it as a proactive defense mechanism. By identifying what's exposed about our organizations online, we can patch vulnerabilities before malicious actors exploit them. For example, many phishing campaigns start with attackers using public data to impersonate companies or executives, right? So let's say that you might one day get a call asking for some information about somebody, and like they can pose as a bank, or they can pose as a government officer, or even the police, right? So those are some of the things which commonly happen. And to be honest, like it has happened to one of the like to my dad, and like we had to lose some money over that incident. But that was a bit of a wake up call in the family. But yeah, like those things do happen, right? So in essence, these kind of intelligence helps us map our attack surfaces from an outsider's perspective before the bad guys do. Now coming to what are the tools and the techniques which are used for publicly gathering intelligence or information. So now let's see that there are tools such as Shodan that scans the internet for exposed devices, such as IoT gadgets or unsecured servers. So I have seen a little bit of Shodan, and it is really, really impressive that you can just go to that tool. You can narrow down publicly available devices which are accessible over the internet. for example, like cameras or even, like computers, which are just not, like used by anybody, but they just are accessible through the internet on some ports and things of that nature, right? So you can, like use Shodan to narrow down by countries or, by port numbers and get access to such devices online. There is another tool called Meltigo, which is excellent for visualizing relationships between people, domains, and networks. So, for example, let's say that there is a domain which is like a website which is uh, like we know that it is vulnerable, but we can also have information about the person who's connected to that or who owns that domain. So once we have like a relation between such devices or even like IP addresses and things of that nature, you become a lot more aware of what to do and how to get access to such people or such information. And the third tool is called Recon NG, which automates the information gathering process. So if you're into automation, Recon NG is another way where you can gather information publicly and using automation. And Recon NG is primarily accessible on Linux platforms. So once you install it, you have to run some scripts or some commands to get access to a lot of the publicly available information, which can be easily be accessed, right? So yeah. So it is important for us to understand and differentiate between the active and the passive reconnaissance scanning, which might also alert the target. While passive methods quietly collect information without triggering alarms, for instance, you might use these techniques to find misconfigured cloud storage buckets or even leaked employee credentials on the dark web. So this had recently, happened to one of, to a well-known company recently, where a lot of the data about the customers got leaked because an employee who had left the company a while back, his account wasn't terminated, and the hackers got access to the accounts or uh, you know the credentials somehow, and they were able to download a lot of the customer information, which was like a big deal for the company. So let's talk about some of the recent headlines on how OSINT has uh, has been in action, right? So this isn't just a theoretical making headlines. One case involved a nation state cyber attack where OSINT researchers identified early warning signs in publicly shared documents. In another case, ransomware gangs used used OSINT to profile victims, targeting companies with publicly available financial data to gauge their ability to pay ransom. These real world examples show why it's critical to monitor what your organization exposes to the public. Your own data can become a weapon against you if you have not managed that carefully. Now, how do you protect the internal network from public data exposure? So it starts with understanding where our vulnerabilities lie, where our shortcomings are. So organizations often leak sensitive data through seemingly harmless channels like job postings, social media updates, or even misconfigured cloud services. So there are a lot of times when people do misconfigure their gears in the cloud or even in the physical world, which allows them to expose that device through which an attacker can get into your network to collect a lot of information. Threat simulations, where you replicate how an attacker would gather information on your company, can highlight these weak spots as well. So, for example, like analyzing a metadata from a public PDF or images might reveal internal IP addresses or usernames given adversaries a foothold into your network, right? So, for example, like Google has this special search where you can put in a person's name and put in the file tab with a colon, and let's like with the file tab you're looking for example, PDF. So you will get you would probably get some PDF files if the person has uploaded somewhere on the internet, and based on those PDFs or even Word files or even like a lot of different sort of files, if they are online where the person has uploaded and it's available, yes, they can access those PDFs. So it is a pretty smart way of gathering information. So now, how do we balance with privacy and ethics? While leveraging external data is a powerful tool, it's crucial to use it ethically and legally as well. Regulations like GDPR and CCPA place strict limits on data collection, even if that data is publicly available. Ethical data collection means respecting privacy while gathering information. For instance, scraping personal social media data without consent could cross legal boundaries as well. So it's essential to strike a balance. The need, like, to collect the information you need to protect your organization, but also to stay away from legal and ethical limits. Now, how do we practically strategize to optimize OSINT? So, to optimize public data collection in your organizations, we can start by establishing a dedicated team or even integrating a, a team with a niche into your existing cybersecurity operations who can work on gathering publicly available information about your organization. So things such as automation is key. AI driven tools can also like help you in collecting vast amounts of data and highlight relevant threats. Integrating external data feeds into your CM systems can provide real-time threat intelligence as well. Also, creating playbooks for different scenarios like phishing detection or brand protection can streamline responses and ensure a consistency. Right. So, so now let's look into what are would be the essential or the key takeaways from this. So before we close, let's have a good recap of the few essential points. First, using publicly available information is sort of a double-edged sword. While it's a powerful tool for identifying external threats, it can also expose your organizations if not managed carefully. Attackers are using the same method to gather intel on us. So it's crucial to stay vigilant. Second, proactive monitoring is key. Continuously assessing what's publicly visible about your organization. It also allows you to spot vulnerabilities before bad actors do. And a lot of these days, if you carefully see on how these attackers sort of like get or breach into an organization, is mostly using all this publicly available information which is out there, which we don't even know where there or we're supposed to be even there, right? So yeah, like this is pretty key over here, right? So, but lastly, it is important to adapt the ethical and the compliant practice, whether when gathering information. So, staying within the legal boundaries not only protects your organization from regulatory issues, but also upholds trust within the broader security community. Now, to end this, the goal is to harness the power of external data responsibly, using it to strengthen your defenses while safeguarding sensitive internal information. Um, to wrap up, remember that open source intelligence is a double-edged sword. While we can harness it to fortify our defenses, attackers can also use the same tools to find and exploit our vulnerabilities. Regularly monitoring your organization's public exposure and adopting ethical data gathering practices are key of staying ahead of evolving threats. Thank you, guys. I welcome if you have any questions for me.